The Indie Writers Club is brought to you by Publish Drive. With one click, self-publish your ebooks, audiobooks and print books to thousands of stores and libraries worldwide. And now you can start for free forever. Publish Drive's new free plan lets you publish your first ebook to 35 stores worldwide absolutely free. No subscription fees, no commissions. Keep 100% of the royalties. Get your titles online in just a few minutes at publishdrive.com.
It's the Indie Writers Club with Cara, Claire and James Blatch. A place to relax, chat, learn and vent about life as an independent author. Get episode alerts and links at indiewritersclub.com. Now, here's Cara and James.
Welcome to the Indie Writers Club. I am Cara Claire.
And I'm James Blatch.
Hi, James Blatch. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing okay, Cara Claire. I know you've had a stressful time moving. Moving is stressful.
It is stressful, and I've forgotten my microphone today, so I'm sorry if I'm a bit fuzzy, because I thought I was supposed to be recording this from my new house, but I'm still having broadband issues, so stay tuned, everyone.
Stay tuned, the ongoing saga. That's fine, we can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, good.
So how's it all going? I've had a very, very busy week, and my writing has suffered a bit. I did a bit yesterday, but I'm not even going to look at my count this week, so it's not been the November I wanted it to be, but it has been significantly better than the previous few months. But how are you going on that?
Yeah, not too bad. I'm feeling really motivated. I'm feeling like I'm finding my magic a bit more in terms of like enjoying writing. And I've written in the evenings quite a few times, which I haven't done for a really long time. Like since I was kind of hobby writing, I haven't really done that, like actually feeling like I want to sit down and write, so that's been really nice. But I think that's because I'm extremely high stress levels. So my brain is using it as like the ultimate way to tune out of reality. So I don't think it's been as productive in terms of the amount of words that I wanted for November, but I'm definitely feeling like I'm really enjoying it. So I'm kind of not even really thinking about the words at this point.
Good. And I know people are going very well. There's sort of mixed stuff in the word count group on our Discord server, which you'd expect. There's some people going really well. And I think generally people benefiting from, as I have done, from being part of this community and doing some writing.
Yeah, exactly. And it is that. And I think it is that kind of, if we didn't have this, I know that I would probably go the other way and just stick my head in the sand and not really be doing anything. And it's all of it, because today we're going to talk about quite a few different things that are going on in the indie publishing world. And just having to look at that kind of stuff keeps me motivated, and it keeps me like in the zone more than it would if I wasn't doing this. So
yeah. I'll tell you what keeps me motivated is I stress a lot. I worry, and I probably put too much pressure on myself for story and everything. And obviously you want it to be absolutely as best as it can be. But I often feel I'm a long, long way from it being good. And it is still first draft, so that's probably not a bad feeling. But then you go to the cinema and you watch a film like Gladiator 2 and you think, well, if Ridley Scott can't get it right with all those millions of dollars and all
didn't
those
you enjoy
people,
it? Was it bad? I haven't seen it yet.
I mean, it's not a bad film, and my wife enjoyed it, and a lot of people I think will come out of the cinema and enjoy it, but the bar is up here because Gladiator is one of the great films. I mentioned it before. I think it's an almost perfectly set out story and film. And what this film was great to look at. No emotional connection to the characters. No clear understanding at any point in the film about who wanted what. Whereas if you think to the first Gladiator, it's crystal clear.
Yeah.
Who's been wronged, what they need to do to get revenge, and who has all their motivations in place. And this film had too much going on, didn't properly explain it, had a very, I can't talk about it in detail because it'd be a spoiler. There is a fundamentally good story there, really good story actually, was not done well. And he's got form for this, Ridley Scott, despite doing some incredible storytelling films like Gladiator and Black Hawk Down. He also did Prometheus, which was all over the place in its story. And I don't know what happens in the process to get it to this point, but it was disappointing.
One of my favourite writers ever worked on the first Gladiator script, William Nicholson, and he has also written a young adult series of books and a couple of books for grown-ups. And I met him at a book signing once, and he said that The Gladiator was one of those jobs that he took when he just was a working writer and needed to take a job. And it's not one of the, he is proud of it, but it's not one of the things he's the most proud of. And I looked up and he didn't work on Gladiator 2. he didn't work on it.
Well, David Franzoni, I think, famously wrote the story for Gladiator, and it's a cracking story, classic cracking story. And this is a bit like, I don't know, it's a little bit like Phantom Menace in Star Wars. And Phantom Menace was terrible and all over the place. And this is not that. It's much better.
I wondered how many more episodes in we'd be before you mentioned the Phantom Menace again.
Phantom Menace again. Got to get over it. But Gladiator 2 is not that, and it's a film worth going to see. 100% go and see it. You'll enjoy it. But it lacks. It just lacks that. And the good story, the good ideas. The one big idea from there is kind of buried and really oddly dealt with. I mean, once you've seen it, we'll have a conversation about one of the scenes in the film.
Okay.
And, maybe as writers we do overanalyze stuff. Because like I say, Jill said, she really enjoyed it. But that's not the same. I really enjoyed it. It's not the same as coming out of Gladiator thinking that has like blown me away. That film.
Yeah, but that's always going to be the problem.
You
that's always going to be the problem, though. The first one was so epic.
But you need to be moved, right? In a film like that. Yeah. Gladiator was a powerfully moving film, and at the end, if you didn't shed a tear, you're not human. This film, there wasn't even the opportunity to do that.
I don't cry in films.
What's wrong with you? You're a robot.
Yeah. You cry at like TV adverts and stuff.
I do cry at TV adverts. They're good ones. Although I'm also going to say, I think this is a good process to go through. I watched, we're watching Day of the Jackal at the moment. I'm not really watching it. Jill's watching it. I've given up on Day of the Jackal because, again, I find it a bit clunky, very cliche. They haven't really worked hard at the kind of technical MI6 side of things. And that's a great thing for me to watch because this is been turned into a huge TV series, and I really do set the bar too high for myself, I think, sometimes in terms of like the authenticity. I mean, it is laugh out loud bad, Day of the Jackal, the way they do some of the stuff. The hilarious thing is they have Eddie Redmayne. I think it's Eddie Redmayne, yeah, is the main.
I like Eddie Redmayne.
And he's like this top secret assassin. He won't even allow, like at a party, he says, no social media to his mother-in-law and stuff. So he's off the grid completely secret to his wife and the rest of it. When he has a meeting with a potential client who's offering him $10 million to take, or $100 million, I think he wants, to wipe out his high-powered target, Elon Musk type person. He has a trilby hat pulled down over this and a Mac like this. And he sits on the bench like this and he says, don't look at me. And they're in a bench in a park. He says, don't look at me. And she's looking that way and he's looking that way. Honestly, you could not say, there's a spy here having a conversation with an intelligence person. I mean, that's what it looked like. If you drew a cartoon of a spy sitting on a bench like this, that's what you do. Whereas you'd think in reality, just sit there in his T-shirt having a conversation, looking like a couple, just look like a couple. That's the thing to do.
Yeah, don't try to ignore each other.
Yeah.
Clearly they haven't read enough James Blatch books.
So it was laugh out loud bad. But I think that's quite good to remind us that writing's really hard, credibility's really hard, and that working at it, you're probably better than you think you are. Is my sort of takeaways from those.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I watched, I don't know if I told you about this, The Bad Sisters, the Irish drama.
I love Bad Sisters.
Oh my God, it's so good. But have you watched season 2?
Yes.
Because season 1...
we're up to season 2.
Season 1 is like perfection, yes. I think. And season 2, I'm not so sure. Like season 1, I think is a masterclass in getting everything right. Completely.
Season 1
right
was the original... Presumably the original Belgian story that they adapted
and they didn't
for
do
Ireland.
Another series.
They didn't do season 2. So season 2 has been written by, I don't know if it's Sharon Horgan herself.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
So I don't know. I'm quite enjoying season 2 so far. I mean, there is a big moment in it. Obviously, you'll know if you're up to date with it.
I'm not up to date yet. I was like, I started and I was like, I don't know how I feel about this.
I think it's going to get better. There is a big moment in it.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'll bear with it then. But if you haven't watched season 1, everybody, it's an absolute masterclass in perfect writing. Yeah. And we can learn so much from this as writers. A lot of us write in series and it's about storytelling. So obviously it's nice to enjoy it, but it's also nice to sit there and actually think about why is that so good? Like what was it? What was the secret sauce that made that like so perfect?
Yeah, it's a great thing to do, to watch it through and have it hit you. And Bad Sisters, it does hit you, and then go back and think why. So that's what I did with Gladiator. I came out of Gladiator thinking, why was I underwhelmed by this film? And I started thinking, and I actually, in my mind, it's not a bad exercise to do. It sounds like a pretentious thing to do, but like you've been given that script and they've asked for your notes. So that's what you do. So, well, these are the things I would do to fix this. And I did that on the way home in my mind. Probably said it out loud to Jill, who said, can you stop talking now, please? on
Just
the way
let me
home.
enjoy the film.
Yes.
My
But
mum gets like that sometimes because she'll really enjoy something, and me and my sister will be kind of like pulling it apart a little bit and going, "Oh yeah, but there was that and there was that," and it's like, can we not just enjoy it for what it is? And there is beauty in that, just being entertained and being able to sit and say it was good, but also it's just part of what we do. It's how our brains work. We can't help it, I don't think.
That should be the first pass, is just allowing the film. And I was genuinely hoping Gladiator 2 was going to work for me. It didn't. But it was only afterwards I started analysing it. I think in 6 months' time, once everyone's seen it or had a chance to see it, we could have a proper discussion about Gladiator 2 and unpick where you need to watch it, where I think I thought of immediately some small changes that would make a difference to the motivation of characters. But anyway, we can do that. Might be
a cool thing to do in the Discord. We could get everybody to watch it, and then we could do a little mini, like, extra podcast episode where we kind of dissect it.
And then we'll write to Ridley Scott and say, "Dear Ridley, do you realise how much better we are?" The Indie Writers
Club, fix your script.
The greatest film director of our generation.
On the show.
Yeah. By the way, the John Lewis advert is a big iconic advert in the UK. It comes out every Christmas and is generally fairly mawkish and emotional. And this year's one is, again, it's a bit like Gladiator 2, beautifully shot, great acting.
I haven't seen it yet.
Again, it does not work for me at all. In fact, like most people, I watched this advert thinking her sister's going to be dead, and that's going to be quite powerful. But her sister's not dead because it's a Christmas advert, and I guess they can't do that. She's just buying a present for her sister. And it's like kind of, okay. I think it's basically been written like her sister's dead. And at some point, somebody in a suit, probably a John Lewis suit, a John L suit, they're a department store in the UK, like Macy's, by the way. I think somebody in a suit said,
she can't be dead, it's Christmas.
We can't have a dead sister at Christmas. But you can, I think. And they should have been brave and done that. I suspect that's what's happened. Anyway, you watch it and tell me what you think.
Okay, I've got some homework from this week.
So this is in the UK. So I think I'll try. I didn't include a link to the Ben Affleck quote on AI.
You did not?
No, but I need to do that. And I need to put links into stuff we talk about, like the John L advert. So can you, one or both of us make notes? The John Lewis advert will be on YouTube, 1 minute long or something like that, so you can watch it. It's a Christmas advert for a department store, and see if you agree with me that it sets up something that doesn't really pay off and becomes a bit of a nothing thing at the end. But maybe you'll see it differently.
You've gone crackly for me. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can still hear you. You've gone a bit crackly for me, but remember it's all loading locally, so we should be okay. It's not a strong.
We should be fine then.
What?
So I have our list. I have our list of things that we were going to talk about this week because there's quite a lot of newsy things going on. I don't know if it's that time of year or if it's just that we haven't looked at what's going on for a while and it feels like there's lots of things.
We're having a news episode. This is going to be an industry news episode because a lot of stuff going on. A lot of stuff has been announced, and we're going to talk about bits and pieces of it. I mean, there's stuff not on our list, like the audio ACX deal for authors has changed.
Yeah. That's it kind of happened quite sneakily, didn't it? I only found out because readers started posting in reader groups things like, "Oh, yay! Has anyone noticed you can now get an audiobook each month with your Amazon Music subscription?" And everyone was sort of celebrating, and I was like, "Hang on a minute, I don't remember anyone asking me about that." And then it kind of filtered through and there started being posts in some of the indie author groups kind of saying, "Don't panic, everyone. We don't really know how this is going to work." I mean, I think all that Amazon have said is we will be paid for it. We just don't know how. So Amazon ACX. So my instinct is that it's a good thing because Audible have recognised that things like Spotify are competition and that they've got to do something to slightly change the way that they're doing things. But as always with their royalty payouts for audiobooks, it's just not very clear how we make our money from those. And I think the main bugbear for a lot of us is that the production costs are so much higher. We have to pay to produce our own audiobooks. That's way higher than producing ebooks, and the cut that we get is way less. So I think the worry is that this will dilute that even more, but we don't know. So don't panic. Don't go pull your books from ACX or anything, but just be aware that it's happening and keep an eye on how that changes what the royalty payouts look like.
I mean, this is definitely a response to Spotify, which includes audiobooks, and it's done really well. And my first couple of months with Spotify did really well, and I went wide and uploaded to them as well. It's also partly in response to some controversy earlier in the year when Brandon Sanderson, I think it was, sort of very publicly turned down his bespoke deal with ACX, saying, I won't sign this until it's available for all authors, because I think all authors need to be better remunerated via ACX. And that prompted ACX into some internal retrospection. Is that the word? Introspection.
Introspection, yeah.
To revise their offer to authors. And actually, we were in the middle of that because in June at the Self-Publishing Show Live, we had Lee Jarrett from ACX from New York, and he came over, and I bumped into him actually in Vegas last week. And they were talking then that it's going to be announced there will be a change. I think probably it went beyond what the changes they've made are making went beyond the scope they had in the summer, which is let's reorganize how we remunerate authors. I mean, certainly there was a lack of clarity they were trying to get on top of with the new dashboard. But the idea of this becoming something, well, okay, we're going to change what we're doing to be more competitive with Spotify. Well, that's a different outcome for the company than clarifying things for authors and remunerating them better, which is how that started out.
Yeah, they're almost two competing things, because I'm not sure how that relates to better remuneration for us, but we'll see. I mean, I think more exposure is good. So somebody pointed out, this might actually help us reach people who don't usually listen to audiobooks because they've got an Amazon Music subscription, and now they'll give audiobooks a go, and then maybe that will drive them to Audible because they're only getting one audiobook a month with Amazon Music. It's not unlimited. So I think we just need to press pause and keep an eye on it, but be aware that
I think so. And it'll hopefully be a bit like Amazon Prime is, and they enroll one of your books in Amazon Prime, they give you $150 or $200 or something, but which might not remunerate you for how many borrows it's going to get, but you find a load of authors, a load of new readers via that.
Yeah, and you have people who then
works out.
Yeah, then people go through the rest of your series, and they're people who wouldn't normally have discovered you. So I think I'm leaning towards trying to be optimistic about it, but let's just keep our eyes on it and see what happens.
Yeah. Okay, the next thing to mention that's been announced and has been revealed is something I had sort of some sneak previews of during the summer when it was in development. And this is Publish Drives, who are our sponsors, I should say, but this is here for its own editorial reasons. This is not a sponsorship spot. This is because this is of interest to us. They have announced their Publishing Assistant, which is an AI-based service. And it's one of these services where you can upload your entire manuscript and then get various things. So you're going to get blurbs and lines of copy and title suggestions even. Titles using keywords with some information about why these particular keywords have been involved in the title. And cover. You can get covers from this. So, and they're pretty good. So I've been testing it.
This is so exciting. I'm excited about this, especially the title thing, because I hate titles. I really hate coming up with titles.
Yeah. So it gives you all of that. I think the covers is probably the biggest breakthrough here.
So is it AI generating a cover? Is that what it's doing?
AI generating a complete cover with your title, with the tagline. And when I looked at it in the summer, it wasn't there. I was looking at beta, and they said, no, we're revising the engine module. Now I've done it on Darkflight, one of my novels, and I'm looking at that thinking I could 100% use any of those covers. Not any of the ones that it showed me, but there's probably 5 here that I would use.
Wow,
and that is quite a breakthrough to suddenly happen, and I'm quite fussy about covers, as we all are, I guess.
That is super exciting, because I think we're going to do an episode at one point about startup costs and all of that kind of thing, and all I see with this is it's just removing the barrier to entry for so many people who want to do things right. They want to have the on-brand cover, they want to have everything right, but can't necessarily afford it. So being able to integrate those AI tools, that's just super exciting.
Yeah, and it makes it easy. You don't have to faff about with Midjourney separately, a load of prompts and Claude or ChatGPT. It's you upload some bare data, which is basically your manuscript is the main thing you update. You tell it a few other things about it, and then it goes off, and it takes a few minutes, and it comes back with this. So, yeah, I mean, in Vinci Books, we're trying to turn things around very quickly at the moment for authors, but they need to be good and need to be optimized. And this, looking at Publish Drive's Publishing Assistant, is the first indication I've got that AI is going to get there on things like cover and blurbs.
Mm-hmm. So is that part of their plan that you pay for as part of distributing your books, or is it on a separate thing?
No, it's on a separate thing, and you buy credits, you buy tokens, or whatever you call it. And I haven't that one. I should have done that before this, because I kindly loaded my account up to play with it in the summer. I've still got those credits, so I need to work out how much it's going to cost you each time you generate a load of covers.
Okay,
but
anyone can go on and have a look at it. And it's not to do with the distribution side.
No, anyone can use Publishing Assistant, and I think it's assistant.publishdrive.com to go straight there, or just go to publishdrive.com and click on it, and you'll find it. So yes, that's
super exciting. I know what I'm going to be doing with my afternoon now.
Yeah, go playing,
procrastinating, playing with covers.
And I would say my covers I'm fussy because RAF and planes have got to be exactly right. But the Dark Flight one, although set in the 60s, has a futuristic aircraft in it. So that's worked really well for me. I will test it on the 1960s RAF stuff. And I've had a quick look at those. And there's small things I would need to change. But basically, you've got a cover that you can then manipulate a little bit to get right. So it is working, yeah. So that's Publishing Assistant from Publish Drive. The other thing that you posted into our little group was you'd noticed that I think it was Random House doing a special edition of one of their books.
Yeah, it was HarperCollins, actually. Most of the publishers now have TikTok shop stores where they're selling their books, which they've kind of obviously got that from indies. But another thing they've taken from indies is the special editions. I say taken from indies. I know they've been doing that a while, but they've obviously cottoned on to what we're doing, which is these special editions with sprayed edges and foiled titles and all the rest of it. And I think the difficulty for us is that it's hard for us to compete price-wise, because they've got the money to do the huge print runs and get the prices for these special editions lower and then list them on TikTok Shop. But things are shifting. There's places like BookVault doing these special editions for us now, and TikTok Shop will do fulfillment for you now. I haven't tried it yet, but when I do, I will give a more detailed breakdown of how it works. But I know that Adam Beswick is doing it now, where if you can do a print run, it doesn't have to be a massive one, you send it to a TikTok Shop warehouse and then they do all the fulfillment for you. So previously I always avoided TikTok Shop because I just couldn't bring myself to do the shipping, packing and shipping from my kitchen table sort of thing. And the turnaround times are quite strict with it. But having that facility where you can actually send your books to TikTok and then they will handle fulfillment, I think is going to change quite a lot of things. And if you can afford a small print run, I think it's worth looking at, because TikTok are pushing the shop. And I know that because they keep coming up on my phone, all these special editions that are being pushed by publishers. And then you can get other people to push them as well. So a lot of BookTokers are doing sponsored paid spots where they are going, oh, look at this gorgeous special edition. I think a Lord of the Rings one keeps coming up on my TikTok feed at the moment. This amazing Lord of the Rings special edition that I just got. And it's from the HarperCollins TikTok shop.
Yeah, so quite an indie sort of way of working, isn't it? Sort of eking out profits from your existing IP.
Yeah.
But that's interesting that TikTok are doing fulfillment, because that has been a sticking point in the end. And there's quite a breakthrough if you can do a print run. Paying £2 a copy of a book is a big difference from paying £5.69, whatever Final Flight costs me, and print on demand, and trying to make money. And then when you're only getting 40% or whatever, is it 30%, 40%, 40% of that, you end up pricing it at £16.99 alongside a Tom Clancy for $8.99 on Amazon. You're always going to struggle with the print side of things. But if you can afford a print run, you're paying a couple of quid, you can sell your book at $4.99, $5.99 even. You can undercut traditional.
Exactly. And that's what's happening on TikTok Shop. And it's similar in places like The Works and places like Books to Door, the online store, where publishers are doing the huge print runs and they're doing special editions. But because they're only paying £1, £2 a copy, 60p a copy, whatever they're paying, because they're doing such big print runs, it's hard for us to compete with that. So I think if you can, I think it's a difficult balance. And the struggle that I have is that I want to test it out. So I think I'm going to have to just shell out, pay the extra to do a small print run with BookVault or somewhere, knowing that I'm probably only going to break even, but doing it to test whether I can actually shift them. And if I can shift them, then I can justify actually spending more money on a big print run.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's funny you mentioned the works. When I went to that Meta day about ads in London, I got talking to a woman from Cardiff way, and she must have been in her mid-20s, quite young. And she said to me, she reads a lot, so she's quite interested. I was an author and worked in publishing. She was a voracious reader, like one of the whale readers, just rips through series. But she doesn't have a Kindle. Didn't really understand what indie publishing was, or that some writers were indie writers. She goes to the works. And she goes to the works with £100 and buys books that will last her 2 months and then goes back. And she buys
they have
loads
a
of
lot
books.
of special deals in there. Most books that have blown up on TikTok and end up getting a print deal end up in the works on special editions. And TikTok is flooded with readers going, this is my haul from the works. And I mean, they've really cottoned on to the fact that the book talkers are loving them, because they're pushing it on TikTok. They're doing really well.
It's like that warehouse west of London, isn't it? Which it's one of the investors in Vinci Books, actually.
Yeah, is it?
Where, yeah. You see people queuing around the corner on a Saturday morning to go in and fill their shopping bags up with remaindered books. But yeah, that seems to me that there's an outlet there on the high street for indie authors, because the way she talked about the books she read, they were indie books. That sounded to me completely like, enemies to lovers series of 4 books, and then she moves on to the next author.
Yeah, there absolutely is, if we can get the pricing right. And it's something that I've been talking to quite a few other authors those of us who are at that point where we're like, right, okay, so we've got the ebook sales thing sorted. We've got the KU thing sorted. We know what we're doing in terms of ads and stuff. The thing that indies struggle with is cracking the print market, and there is something huge there for us to reach, but it's that delicate. It's not just actually managing to get the print cost down, it's finding the right person to speak to actually get into those stores. That's the one barrier I think for indies that still exists, which is where hybrid publishers and publishers like Vinci and things like that's where they're offering benefits to indies that we just can't get ourselves.
Yeah. I mean, it's not surprising that the industry hasn't changed. It's a very traditional industry. Trad publishing is very traditional. Surprise, surprise. And gardeners and whoever the sort of distribution, I don't really know how it all works, even though I'm now working in a publishing company. But it's disappointing that bookshops haven't seen the reader-led migration to indie authors and the type of writing you get in the indie sectors you didn't get in traditional, although they do try and copy it now. And those kind of series and very romance, very tropey stuff. It's amazing to me that Waterstones doesn't have an entire, like Cambridge Waterstones has like 4 levels, doesn't have an entire floor of authors you've probably never heard of, but are going to love. However they want to badge it, basically just being your books. And Lucy, well, obviously Lucy now gets traditional distribution, but there are lots of romance authors who are just on Kindle, basically. And print on demand. I
mean, I think so. From what this could have changed. I could have got it wrong. From what I remember from when I used to work in trad, you have to have printed a certain volume to be stocked by gardeners or whoever the other big distributor is. And if you're not stocked by them, a bookshop's not going to touch you, because technically, yes, they can order from Ingram or Amazon to get our books into their store, but the discount isn't. They're paying too much for it. Because of the print on demand cost, because it costs us like exactly what you just said, it costs us £4 to get that printed. So therefore we have to charge $16.99 for it. And they know that that's not going to sell on their shelf because nobody's going to pay $16.99 for that book. So it's this really difficult kind of catch-22. And it really does feel like that's an area where something needs to shift, because I know a friend went to a book signing recently and ended up talking to an owner of an independent bookshop, and he was really moaning about authors not wanting to work with him and him finding it really difficult, and all this kind of Amazon and stuff is going to drive the last of the independent bookshops out of business. And it's like, but it's a two-way street, because they're not doing an awful lot to try and work with us either. No. So I'm going to be interested to see what happens in the next year, because I think there's some shifts coming up.
There's definitely a shift. That's a trend. I mean, Waterstones don't just want to be there for the in Cambridge where I live, the Cambridge academic wandering in to buy the latest Booker nominated novel, because that's a small footfall. They kind of do
they weren't interested in my books at all.
But why don't they want the works footfall? Why don't they want
Well,
queue on a
exactly.
Saturday morning when they've restocked that floor full of all these series. And that's such an easy thing to do. You know, I think, again, we overcomplicate publishing because of those systems. Like, you've got to be in Gardeners, you've got to have it printed, and you've got to be,
Who came up with that rule?
They're just products, right? In any other world, if John Lewis they saw something on Dragon's Den, which is, you know, the Shark Tank program, or some YouTube advert, and think, well, we can stock that, and they contact the factory and say, can you produce 1,000 of these and ship them to our warehouse, and we'll stock it. Taylor Swift, right? Taylor Swift is doing her book, her Eras Tour book, and is distributing exclusively with Target in the US. And I had a conversation with some authors, and they were trying to say, well, I wonder who's distributing that. And I'm saying, it's just the product. They don't there's no distribution. They've just gone to Taylor Swift. She's going to print the books and they're going to put them on the shelf like they would any other item in that shop. Books are not this special thing. Have to have an ISBN and got to be listed and got to be in that catalogue. No, they don't. They just have to be on a shelf and have a price on them.
You have to have a barcode so you can scan it and sell it. That's it. Like if Waterstones wanted to take X number of my books, I can get that print run done myself and distribute them myself to the different Waterstones stores. Like we could drive around on a Saturday morning on a lorry, couldn't we? I'll hire a van and drive them to you myself. That's the indie attitude to things. It's like, well, we'll just do it ourselves. Why can't we do it that way? Why can't you stock it from me? And I think our friend Robin, who does the non-fiction books, has had similar conversations where it's like, but can't I just print these and sell them to you and send them to you as it's just a product? But there are these weird rules and ways of doing things which have to shift at some point, because it just feels like they're missing out. They're missing out on, and I mean, the flip side of this, which is another one of the things we were going to talk about, which is that TikTok has gone the other way. So they've got their own publishing imprint, and they're not just going to be selling ebooks and things through the TikTok shop. They've got a publishing imprint. They're going to be taking on authors who obviously are blowing up on the platform and getting them into bookshops. So TikTok have noticed this.
Yes.
This trend, ByteDance, I think the people who own them, starting in, I think, February, they've got their first print authors who allegedly are going to be going into stores, going into the works, going into Waterstones, all of that kind of thing. So it feels like if they've noticed it and they've done it, we're not just a little bit crazy over here. This is actually something that needs to happen.
And they have this, you know, you imagine the people sitting around in publishing companies trying to work out what the next big thing's going to be and predicting, and they have like a 2-year lag between them starting to talk to an author and them eventually publishing them. Whereas TikTok, in this incredible data-rich environment where the data spits up and tells them this book has had under the radar before you and I probably even noticed it, or you probably noticed it, you're better than me, but before most people have noticed it, a book's had 1 million views and is being shared very quickly. They'll be on that in a flash. So they're in a really strong position. Data is power and all that. Information is power. To sign them up and get them into bookshops.
Trad is changing a little bit. Like I saw it with Rebecca Yarros. They got book 2 out way quicker than they usually ever get a sequel out. It was out within about 6 months of book 1. But it showed because there were a lot of mistakes in it and people got really upset about it. And I remember her posting something on Instagram about having to do the edits over the summer and being completely fried, because it just doesn't usually happen that quickly in trad. They see something, even though when they see a book that's blown up and they're like, great, we'll sign you for a print deal. And then that's like a year later, 18 months later, that special edition comes out. So it's a time of everything shifting and just a time to kind of keep an eye on stuff. I mean, I subscribed to the Bookseller again recently magazine, which is a trad based magazine, and I hadn't had a subscription for a while. I think it's important that we keep an eye on what's happening with them as well as with us.
Yes. And if you want a shortcut to all of that, Jane Friedman's email service, which I think is $50 a year and is well worth it.
It is amazing.
Keeps an eye on everything. Talking of which, keeping an eye on this sort of disruptive side of the industry, there's another story that we both noticed independently this week. Do you want to talk about spines?
Yeah. So actually, I found the headline a little bit disingenuous, and a trad author who I follow had posted this on Facebook. And when I first read it, I thought, oh my God. So the headline, which was in the Bookseller, is New Publisher Spines aims to disrupt industry by using AI to publish 8,000 books in 2025 alone. So this trad author had posted this on her Facebook page and everyone was up in arms. This is exactly what we were talking about. AI is going to be writing 8,000 books. These aren't going to be any good. That's not actually what they're doing. So Spines are a publishing company who help people to publish their books. To me, it has a little bit of a vanity publishing feel to it. I don't know the ins and outs of how they operate, so I can't really comment. But the article said they charge something like $5,000 for a package where they, maybe they do a fantastic job. I haven't looked at what they do, but that is what they're going to be using the AI for the proofreading, all of those things that we were kind of talking about with the Publish Drive thing. That's what this publisher is going to be using it for in order to make their processes quicker and to be able to, they say, help more authors get published. So they're not using AI to write 8,000 books next year. They're using it to make their publishing process quicker.
Yeah.
That's my takeaway.
And if you've got a short-term memory, you might remember that we've had this controversy a couple of years ago with Michael Anderle speaking at either Seville or 20 Book. I think Seville, I saw him in London a few days later. He looked quite traumatized. He stood up and he said, we're going to publish 10,000 books next year because of AI. And everyone took that to mean you're going to use AI to generate books and you're going to kill our careers.
I remember that, yeah.
Castigated. But what he meant was exactly this. We're going to use AI to streamline the process of, we started this conversation about Publishing Assistant at Publish Drive, generating covers and blurb and stuff. That's what we're talking about when they talk about increasing the work rate. Yeah, I have to say, having looked at the Spines website, this is not something I would recommend anybody goes along with. I mean, you're paying a minimum of $1,200, actually nearly $1,300 for the essential package to publish your book. There's a signature one that's $2,300, and as you say, nearly $5,000. I mean, the full price is $5,500 for Paramount, which is like an elite package for publishing a book, but you can do all this stuff yourself, and you can probably do a better job of it yourself, marketing and selling your book. So if you want to pay for services, go and find a good cover designer or use the latest AI tools like we described at Publish Drive and so on. You don't have to use these companies.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at that. They've got a little table on here that says the old way of publishing, and they've got traditional publishing and then vanity publishing. And then they've got, publishing with them, which they say the difference is that you're keeping 100% of the royalties. So they're essentially just providing services for you and then marketing it and distributing it. But like you said, you can kind of do all those things yourself. I don't know what their output is like. So if you genuinely can't do all those things yourself and you want someone to do it all for you, I guess check it out. But it's not a thing that I ever recommend to indies. And I'm surprised actually that they've got column space in something like the bookseller. They've managed to position themselves as being different from other organizations that would normally not get, the kind of airtime.
Yeah.
So
I mean, kudos to them. Maybe there's more to the company than we think. Maybe they are going to be innovative in areas. They've got that good publicity, and I mean, check it out. Maybe it's maybe for some people who just are happy to pay, but just understand what it is. Just look at what you're paying and what you're getting for that, and then look at how you could potentially do that yourself, or whether it would work out better if you paid a cover designer directly and so on. But just go in with your eyes open.
Do your research. Definitely do your research. Look at reviews. Look at what other people have said. That I think the crux of it was the kind of making it sound like they were going to use AI to write 8,000 books. I found that quite annoying, and it was a very clickbait way of doing a headline. But also I found it annoying that other people were perpetuating that by reposting the headline deliberately to stoke drama, and not posting the rest of the article, because if on the bookseller it's kind of behind a paywall, and obviously you can find it in other places, but people were just reading the headline, making that assumption, and then it was starting a big conversation about, see, this is it, AI is going to be writing 8,000 books next year. That's not what it was. Which kind of leads us on to actually the new ChatGPT feature, which I was playing with this morning, which someone alerted me to yesterday. I don't know if you've had a chance to look at it yet.
This is the side by side where you're collaborating.
It's called Canvas, and I think it's a bit of a game changer. I haven't had chance to play with it enough, but basically you can put your blurb in, or you can say to me, would you write me a blurb for this? And that comes up in a second screen. You can edit it, and then ChatGPT works off the edited version, but you can also do things like highlight a word and then say, did we think of a different word for this? I'm not really sure I like this word. And then ChatGPT will give you some options, and then it will edit that for you when you've chosen that option. Or it said something. I was trying to do a blurb for my second Mafia book, which I was literally doing it for about 10 minutes before we started this. One of the things it said, I was like, I'm not sure if that actually, what happened in the first book to do with that, if that works. So I highlighted it and said, can you just look at the manuscript I've attached and make sure where they were in the last chapter of the book and if that's actually going to make sense? And then ChatGPT went through it and went, sorry, my mistake, they were actually in this place, you're right, and then edited it on that second screen. And so you watch it. So in terms of editing, like, I think it's a bit of a game changer, and it's going to make things really interesting.
Is this you're characterizing the way you talk to it? Do you actually talk to it as in the ChatGPT app on your phone, or are you typing in saying, can you please check this manuscript?
Typing.
Yeah, okay. Because that, I think, actually would be the next step.
Yes, probably.
Where you're if you can, I mean, the app on your phone you talk to, I don't know if you can talk to the ChatGPT on desktop, laptop.
I'm not sure, I've never tried it.
That would be a game changer, and that won't be far away. You're literally having them in the room, and you're just talking to them about the stuff you're working on as you're working on it. I mean, how many times do you get to a point where you have to put some stars or asterisks in your manuscripts? You've got to go off and check something. In my case, it's real world history and stuff. In your case, it might be what happened to this character in the previous book. But to be able to say to whatever you want to call it, Jennifer or Fred, your assistant, did Dinos die painfully? I can't remember how he died now. And they'll go off and do that while you carry on writing.
Yeah. And it's really, and obviously it's instant as well. In terms of editing, I think it's really going to change a lot, because I do use Pro Writing Aid and other things like that, and find them a little bit clunky. And I think this is going to be something that I definitely try for the editing part of the process. Yeah.
Well, Pro Writing Aid, of course, has some AI. It does have AI built in. You can switch it off and on, because I think that they might change that at some point, but they're sort of dated to a year ago when things were different and people were very suspicious of AI. It's a bit more universally used now. So I think they may well be. I mean, they're pretty innovative. I, again, bumped into them in Vegas, Chris and Tom and Haley. They innovate a lot on that platform. So it wouldn't surprise me if that will develop along these lines.
I would think so. Now that it's in ChatGPT, I would see it kind of.
Yeah.
And Claude started a little while ago doing the projects thing, which was a little bit similar, where you could have everything stored in a project and it was kind of bringing it up separately. But this is different. It's the editing part, because you're kind of working collaboratively with ChatGPT on a document, and it's editing it for you as you go along. I think that's the difference, is that you're not having to kind of remember what you've done or do it on a separate Word document as you're doing that. So for the editing part, I can see that being really, really helpful. And watch this space, because I'm going to play with it some more later. That's what this afternoon's going to be. Research. Research, ChatGPT and Publish Drive's new AI stuff.
And that's good for us, right, writing books, but really it's designed for people doing more technical projects, I think, and it's going to be mind-blowing for them if you're coding.
Yes, for coding and stuff like that, and we're kind of adapting it and trying to use it as writers, but it's designed for more technical stuff, I think, than what we do.
It's nice to have a robot friend you can chat to.
It is. And it also has a feature, which I don't know when it came out, but it said it was new when I opened it up yesterday, which was actually searching the web for results and answers to questions. They kind of, when you use Google now, it comes up with a little AI answer and tells you where it got them from. So it's kind of like that, but within ChatGPT.
Even Strava does that now. Strava, where when you log your runs, etc., it comes up with a little analysis of your run and says how it compared to. It's a little AI thing in there.
I don't know if I like that.
I ran yesterday. Let me see what if I can find it, and I'll see what it says about my my. I mean, things are changing. Things are changing
rapidly.
I've got to type on you activities. I'm not changing there. I'm the same speed I always was operating things. Athlete intelligence, it's called. Here it goes. It's thinking about it. Steady paced run with most time spent in threshold zone, maintaining consistent effort across splits while keeping the heart rate low. And you can ask for some more. Your 5K run today.
Congratulations. Is that what I should be saying? I don't know.
Thank you. Your 5K run today was a steady effort, mostly spent in threshold and tempo pace zones. Compared to recent runs, this was slightly slower, but consistent with your typical performance. Your heart rate stayed comfortably in the moderate zone, suggesting a controlled, easy-paced workout with minimal intensity spikes. Now, it sounds silly, but actually, that's quite mind-blowing from a couple of years ago that you've effectively got a personal coach there. Because you can look at your stats, but on Strava, things like if you exercise, you've got to do the analysis. But now this will do it for you. So I knew that was a slower run yesterday. It's been, by the way, a strong headwind, which is probably why I was a bit slower, just to point that out.
Sure.
I didn't say that, did I?
Does it analyse your golf game?
My goodness, it probably will. Don't do that. Don't do that. Yeah. Well, we played golf on Saturday in very, very strong winds. I sent you a picture.
You did send me a picture.
Me and Robin on the course. It was like 40-mile-an-hour winds. Okay, look, that's it. We are running up against time because I've got a call coming up in a couple of minutes. That is our industry. I quite enjoyed going through industry.
Enjoyed it.
News.
Yeah, it was good. It was good. Next week, I suppose we'll have a NaNoWriMo wrap up, won't we? Because that'll be the end of November.
Yeah.
And rolling on towards Christmas. So I don't think we've got a word count because we're doing it too early. We're doing it earlier than we normally do. So we haven't got a spread.
I think there is something. We've been a little bit remiss on this. I think what we'll say to Kitty is we could perhaps do a monthly roundup. I mean, the Word Count Club is working in its own right in the Discord channel. It's nice to have a mention on the show. We will get back to doing that, organise ourselves a bit better around that. But we'll think of a way we're going to do this and put that as a regular feature.
Yeah, it's kind of trying to organise it so that we don't take up too much time on the podcast, but we do get people to have that motivational shout out. But also it's getting bigger and bigger, so there's more people in it. So if you've got suggestions for how you would like it to be done, let us know. Maybe monthly is a good thing. Maybe a couple of interesting shout outs each week and then a monthly roundup.
Yes, something like that. And I'll just remind you again that we are going to do a pre-sale for the Self-Publishing Show live in London. You do need to register for the pre-sale, and that where you can do that has not been announced yet. So you need to be either on our mailing list, so go to indiewritersclub.com, or go to learnselfpublishing.com and make sure you're on those two mailing lists, because I will put it out on both of those.
Super excited about this. So excited.
Yeah, I am too, and I'm chomping at the bit. We've got an important sponsors meeting on the 4th of December, and we can't do anything before then because we need to get some commitment there. But we will be announcing the pre-registration before then, maybe even this week. And I'm talking on the 26th, Tuesday, but it may be even Friday. We announce the pre-registration. So, okay, right, that's it. Thank you very much.
Soon. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Sign up for episode alerts at indiewritersclub.com. Come and chat with us at our exclusive Discord server at indiewritersclub.com/Discord. Or join our Facebook group at indiewritersclub.com/Facebook. And you can support the podcast at indiewritersclub.com/support. And don't forget to share your weekly word counts, because no matter what you've achieved this week, we're here to cheer you on. Thank you for being part of the Indie Writers Club.
The Indie Writers Club was brought to you by Publish Drive. With one click, self-publish your ebooks, audiobooks, and print books to thousands of stores and libraries worldwide. And now you can start for free forever. Publish Drive's new free plan lets you publish your first ebook absolutely free. No subscription fees, no commissions, keep 100% of the royalties. Get your titles online in just a few minutes at publishdrive.com.